Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hello everyone, and thank you for coming here today. Welcome to Healthy Living for Your Brain and Body, and this program is sponsored by the Alzheimer's Association. My name is Olivia Deering, and I'm a volunteer community educator with the Alzheimer's Association. And as my full-time job, I work as a clinical research coordinator as part of the Alzheimer's Disease Research Center in Madison. So the study that I currently work on is a preventative Alzheimer's disease research study. So as you may know, right now there is 2 disease-modifying medications that have been approved for Alzheimer's disease. And what that means is instead of targeting the symptoms like memory loss, it's actually targeting the changes in your brain. And so it's called the AHEAD study. What we're looking at is if we give one of these disease-modifying medications to people who have the brain changes but don't have any memory problems yet, to see if we can break those down and see if that prevents memory problems. So, very interesting stuff. So if you have any questions about research in general, someone mentioned that they're a research participant at the Alzheimer's Disease Research Center. So they're always looking for people of all ages to participate in research. So I can talk a little bit more about that at the end if you're interested in getting involved. So this program, yeah.
Any more of the handouts?
Yeah.
Gail and Amy.
Sure.
I'm just taking care of you.
You're my guardian.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She's so good.
So this program is intended to provide you with science-based recommendations about taking care of our brains and bodies. We encourage you to think about your health and lifestyle and how you might make changes to live healthier. We'll share stories and offer tips on how to make small changes to build healthier habits. So by the end of today's program, you will be able to identify how certain behaviors affect our brains and bodies, list strategies for healthy decision-making in the following areas of sleep, smoking, mental health, physical activity, balanced nutrition, cognitive engagement, and social engagement. So throughout this program, you will hear tips for each of these strategies, and you can follow along on the worksheet if you'd like. So let's begin by talking about the brain. The brain is the control center for your entire body, and it manages everything, including our thoughts and movements. There are approximately 100 billion nerve cells called neurons in your brain, and they are structured like branches of a tree, creating a network of pathways through which signals are sent to form memories, thinking, and feeling. Many diseases can affect the brain. For example, Alzheimer's progressively destroys brain cells as it moves throughout the brain, affecting more functions as the disease progresses. So we know that the heart and the brain are connected, and what is good for the heart is good for the brain, and I'll say that a lot today. Science is able to tell us why this is true and what we can do to maximize our health. Much of the heart-brain connection is due to the fact that the brain is nourished by the body's richest network of blood vessels and oxygen. So the oxygen and other elements delivered to the brain throughout the bloodstream keep the brain nourished. And every time your heart beats, 20 to 25% of your blood being moved goes to your brain. So this is why keeping the heart in good working order helps keep your brain fueled to do what it needs to. So although this program is more than Alzheimer's and other dementias, it may be helpful to know some basic information about them, which can help us understand how they may be related to healthy living and what we can do to help our brains and our bodies. So Alzheimer's is a normal part of aging, true or false? False. Thank you for coming. That is correct. Alzheimer's is a progressive and fatal brain disease, and symptoms usually develop slowly and get worse over time. While the greatest known risk factor for Alzheimer's is increasing age, the disease is not a normal part of aging. most individuals with the disease are 65 and older, and after age 65, the risk of developing Alzheimer's doubles every 5 years. So after age 85, the risk is about 1 in 3. As we get older, it's common to experience some age-related changes to memory or thinking abilities, such as forgetting where we left off or left something but finding it later, or sometimes having trouble finding the right word. This is known as cognitive decline. Dementia is a general term used to describe problems with memory and thinking that interfere with someone's daily life. Dementia is not a normal part of aging, and it is caused by damage to brain cells that affect the cell's ability to communicate, which can affect thinking, behavior, and feeling. Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause of dementia, and worldwide, an estimated 55 million people are living with Alzheimer's and other dementias. There is currently no cure for Alzheimer's. However, there are drug and non-drug options that can help with symptoms and may have the ability to slow disease progression. And while there are currently no proven methods to prevent cognitive decline or dementia, research has shown that we can take action to reduce our risk of developing it and help maintain or potentially improve our overall health. So let's talk about what affects our overall health and well-being. Many factors can impact health, including genes, family history, environment, and lifestyle. As we age, it's common for us to experience some similar changes, like getting gray hair, or wrinkles, or needing glasses for reading. But as individuals, we experience getting older in many different ways. This is due in part to our genes. Genes are beyond our control and influence the way that we are. For example, some families' genes allow them to live well into their 90s or even longer, while other families' genes can lead to diseases earlier in life that may shorten their lifespan. In addition, the environments in which we live, work, and play can have significant effects on our health, and many of these are difficult to change and beyond our control. But we do have some control over other factors involving our health, and making improvement in these areas could positively affect our overall health, even for individuals with a family history of certain conditions like dementia or heart disease. Your blood pressure, blood sugar, weight, and cholesterol levels are all key parts of the story of your overall health, including your brain, and it's important to understand these numbers and keep an eye on them. Growing research suggests that many factors that increase the risk of heart disease and stroke may also increase the risk of cognitive decline and dementia. There is strong evidence of a connection between midlife high blood pressure or hypertension and later life dementia. This evidence also shows that controlling blood pressure can have a significant effect on your risk of cognitive decline and possibly dementia. Keeping your diabetes controlled is also important. Studies have shown an increase in the risk of cognitive decline and possibly dementia among individuals living with diabetes, although diabetes is not been to this point proven to cause Alzheimer's disease. Maintaining a healthy weight is important as well. Researchers have found that midlife obesity may be associated with an increased risk of dementia. So we know that a good cholesterol level is good for your heart, and what's good for your heart is good for your brain. The best way to combat these health concerns is to know your numbers and keep an eye on them, especially if they're changing. Talk with your doctor or another healthcare professional to understand what your numbers should be and what they mean for your overall health. Many of the healthy living strategies that we'll talk about next have the potential to support you in working to obtain these optimal numbers. So we have a
Quick question.
Yeah.
On that back screen, you had blood pressure, blood sugar, weight, and then what was the fourth one?
cholesterol.
Cholesterol.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll do another question. It's never too early or too late to incorporate healthy habits. True or false?
True.
Correct. People of all ages can benefit from adding in more healthy behaviors. So let's look at some of those. So today we're going to explore these aspects of healthy living: getting quality sleep, being smoke-free, taking care of your mental health, get moving, eat healthy, challenge yourself, and stay connected. We'll look at what the science tells us about changes we can make in each of these areas to help our bodies and our brains. And as we touch on each area, I want you to think about how you can apply these to your own life. Consider how you can do what you enjoy while making gradual changes that are relevant for you and how you live. And start now, regardless of your age. So first, we're going to talk about sleep. Quality sleep is essential for overall health and well-being. Not only does sleep allow us to rest and recharge, it also affects our ability to maintain healthy blood pressure and control diabetes. Inadequate sleep due to conditions like insomnia or sleep apnea can cause problems with memory and thinking. Adults should aim for no less than 6 hours of rest a night. Of course, sometimes there may be interruptions from others in your home, or noise or other factors that can make this difficult. It's important to try to improve the quality of your sleep when possible. Think about your own sleep habits. Do you get enough sleep? Or do you, importantly, get enough quality sleep? What kinds of environment helps you sleep? What changes might help you become or create a more peaceful sleep setting? And how can you minimize disruptions? So keeping these questions in mind, we're going to talk through some tips that can help improve sleep quality. Let's start by thinking about the environment. Do you sleep better when you are cooler or warmer? Do you need silence or light noise or music in the background? Do you prefer some light or complete darkness? Consider what small changes you might make, such as adding more or fewer blankets, a fan for white noise or temperature control, a nightlight or blackout curtains, noise-canceling headphones, or a sound machine. I found on Spotify there's actually a fan playlist, so I just listen to a fan all night long if I'm traveling and don't have access to an actual fan. Try to minimize any disruptions. Can you sleep in a separate space from others, such as partners, pets, or family members? Is it possible to change others' routines to help yourself? For example, setting different bedtimes or turning off TV at a certain time. Experts recommend turning off your screens before bedtime to help wind down for sleep. And if you use your phone for music or an alarm clock, put it out of reach so you aren't tempted to pick it up and look at it. If you have frequent sleep problems or sleep apnea, talk with your healthcare professional. Does anyone else have any good tips on how they get quality sleep?
Question.
Yeah.
Did I hear you correctly? You said 6 hours of sleep versus
Yeah.
8?
No less than 6.
Oh.
So I believe 6 to 8 or 6 to 9, depending on your age, is the recommended, but no less than 6.
So as we get older, do we need less sleep then?
Believe more. So the next aspect of healthy living that we'll explore is being smoke-free. Did you know that smoking has a direct impact on the health of your brain? Studies have found that smoking increases the risk of cognitive decline and may increase the risk of dementia. The benefits of quitting smoking include a lower risk of heart attack, stroke, and lung disease, better blood circulation, and avoiding exposing others to secondhand smoke. Quitting smoking may reduce a person's chance of developing cognitive decline back to the level of non-smokers. If you currently smoke, think about what could help you stop. If you don't smoke, what has helped for you to stay smoke-free? What resources are available online or in your community? So let's discuss some tips for being smoke-free. Quitting is hard, and finding support through quit lines and talking with your doctor or another healthcare professional. Look for a smoking cessation program or a strategy that works best for you. Next, take care of your mental health. It is important to prioritize yourself and make time for self-care. You may have a lot on your plate. Maybe you care for others, are juggling a heavy workload, or are dealing with life's unexpected surprises. Pay attention to your stress levels and any symptoms of anxiety, depression, or other mental health concerns. These affect the health of your brain. Talk with your doctor about how you're feeling, both physically and mentally. Some of the healthy habits we're talking about in this program are good examples of self-care. For example, studies have found that regular physical activity decreases stress, increases your ability to manage stress, and leads to overall better mood. And sleep also contributes to your mental health. Taking time to care for yourself is important, especially if you are caring for others. Even if you are busy with a full schedule, it helps to take a few moments to give yourself a break. This can help boost your mood and lower your stress levels. Remember, self-care is not selfish. Think about some things that you are doing and how you can build breaks into your day. How can you focus on self-care? Here are some ideas for self-care. Choose something that makes you happy and feels like a break, even if it's for only a few short minutes. So you might enjoy taking a nap, sipping a cup of tea or other favorite beverage, going for a walk, playing a game, reading, dancing, singing, making art, cooking or baking, or laughing, like listening to a funny podcast or watching a comedy. Does anyone else have any tips on how they do self-care?
Deep breathing.
Keep breathing?
Deep.
Oh, deep breathing. I was like, keep breathing is good too. It's a good place to start. Yeah, deep breathing. Absolutely.
Drop your shoulders.
Yes, I like that.
I know
Even-
it's further down the list, but
Yeah,
getting out and doing social activities is good self-care for me.
absolutely. And that's another part that we're going to talk about later, is
Right.
that social connection. So if you can do things to mix all these tips together, like socializing and going for a walk, that might help you, de-stress and get some fresh air, things like that. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Avoid negative people.
Avoid negative people. I like it.
Yes.
I feel like I've gotten better at that as I've gotten older. Like, what are you providing to my life? Not too much. Well, yeah. It's okay to set those boundaries.
Limit technology.
Limit technology, absolutely. Yeah, I've started getting a bunch of library books, and instead of sitting on my phone at night, I'll read, a chapter or two and then not even touch my phone, and I've gotten better sleep because of that for sure. Alright, awesome. The next tip is get moving. So there's quite a bit of research on how physical activity affects our brains and helps keep them as healthy as possible. Many studies have found that consistent physical activity is associated with a lower risk of cognitive decline. Some researchers say that if people had to choose one thing to do to improve their brain functioning, it should be physical activity. Sleep is also really high up there. Evidence suggests that physical activity may directly benefit brain cells by increasing blood and oxygen flow. It may also reduce other dementia risk factors such as high blood pressure and diabetes. Most researchers believe exercise should be regular and on the more vigorous side, things that get the heart pumping and your blood flowing. Other studies have shown benefits from milder activities such as walking or strength training. However, we don't yet have a single recipe for what works the best. For most people, any increase in movement can have an impact on your overall health. can feel hard or overwhelming to think about adding more movement into your already full day. But little changes add up. Research shows that even 20 to 30 minutes of walking a few times a week can have health benefits. The most important thing you can do is to be as active as you can and to do activities that you enjoy so that you'll continue to do them. So what activities do you want to try? How can you build more physical activity into your day? And is there someone that you can ask to join you? Here are some tips to help you get started incorporating more physical activity into your routine. If this is new for you, start small and find things that might already be part of your day, like walking around your neighborhood, taking the stairs more often, or getting off at a bus stop one stop earlier. Think about what activities you like to do or want to try. Try to move quickly to get your heart rate up and break a sweat. Activities like tennis or pickleball or dancing are great ways to do so. And ask your friends to join you. This way you can make it social, another benefit for your brain, and get support for starting something new or making it a routine. As always, check with your doctor or another healthcare professional to make sure that these activities will be safe for you. Does anyone have a tip or an example on how they stay active throughout their day? Dancing, biking.
Swimming. Oregon has a magnificent pool for swimming, water walking, or aerobics. You don't have to be a swimmer.
Awesome.
But I like to swim early in the morning, and it's a social event too. So.
Yeah, swimming is great for your body,
Yeah.
absolutely.
They have free line dancing at the church.
Free line dancing at the church,
Yeah.
sign me up, okay.
Yeah.
Fun,
You should go.
that's awesome, all right. Beautiful trails in Madison, especially this time of the year too. The leaves are changing. All right, the next area that we'll explore is balanced nutrition. Eating an overall healthy diet may reduce your risk of many diseases. As we've already discussed, what's good for your heart is good for your brain. The same is true when it comes to the foods that we eat. We know that healthy fuel for the body benefits brain functioning. So eating a balanced diet may reduce your risk of heart disease, cancer, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, stroke, and diabetes. But there are many differing opinions on what's the best way to eat to maximize our health. Research on the relationship between nutrition and cognitive functioning is somewhat limited, but it does point to the benefits of balanced nutrition. Two good examples of this are the DASH diet, dietary approaches to stop hypertension, and the Mediterranean diet. The DASH diet is a flexible and balanced eating plan. Studies show that the DASH diet lowers high blood pressure and improves levels of blood lipids or fats in your bloodstream. This may reduce the risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Because the DASH diet is a healthy way of eating, it may also reduce the risk of osteoporosis, cancer, heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. The Mediterranean diet incorporates the basics of healthy living along with the traditional cooking style of countries bordering the Mediterranean Sea. A research study of more than 1.5 million healthy adults demonstrated that following a Mediterranean diet could reduce your risk of death from heart disease and cancer. It may also reduce the risk of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. But these are just examples, and there are others. The important thing is to find a balanced option in the foods that you eat and the food that is important to your culture. The diets that have been shown to be the most effective have certain things in common. Here you can see key elements from both of the diets that I just mentioned. You might be pretty familiar with some of these, so take a moment to start thinking about how they fit into the meals that you eat regularly or that are important to your culture or your family. So these include incorporating more fruits and vegetables into your daily diet. Some studies indicate that certain fruits, such as berries, may be particularly helpful, and eating green, leafy vegetables has been shown to have health benefits. Eating nuts, beans, and whole grains, eating lean meats, fish, and poultry, choosing food containing polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats, which are found in nuts, plant-based oils, particularly olive oil and avocado oil, and fish, aiming for a diet low in saturated fats, staying away from processed foods, deep-fried foods, and large amounts of sugar and salt. It's never too late to adopt a heart-healthy diet, and studies show that making these changes even later in life can benefit your brain health. But making changes into what we regularly eat can be hard. So let's talk about suggestions on how to make some healthier eating changes work for you. Think about what you can do to cook differently or make your meals healthier. What healthy foods could you swap in? And what new foods would you be willing to try? Let's go over some tips for healthier eating. Use olive oil instead of butter in preparing food. Use sodium-free spices or flavorings instead of salt. Don't add extra salt when cooking rice, pasta, or hot cereal. Read food labels and choose low sodium or no salt added options. Focus on what you can add instead of what you are taking away, such as adding in fruit as a snack or vegetables to your pasta. Choose plain, fresh, frozen, or canned vegetables. Build meals around your vegetables, beans, or whole grains. Choose fresh or frozen, skinless poultry, fish, and lean cuts of meat. Eat fish a couple days per week, and serve fresh fruit for dessert. Does anyone else have any good tips on how they incorporate healthy options into their diet?
Use my air fryer.
Your air fryer? Yeah, I got one not too long ago and I love it. Really quick, instead of having to bake it at home. Anyone else? Yeah?
This isn't really a tip for that, but one of the discussions that I have with my friends, a lot of us who have lost our spouse, cooking and eating for one is really a challenge, a huge challenge. And so that's why sometimes the nutritional part of our program is not the best. But I just had a very healthy meal here at lunch. So the senior center does, offer good meals here.
Wonderful.
Well, one of the things about healthy eating is people say it's a little bit more expensive than processed foods. So what I do, because I'm also cooking for one in my house, is when I make a meal, I vacuum seal it, part of it, and then I'll take it out, But one of the things that they don't recommend, and I don't see it up there, is breads. What is that called? White bread.
This is whole grain.
You're saying whole grain bread instead of white bread?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
if you're gonna have bread.
Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. All right. There are many vitamins and supplements that are available on the market today. However, it is important to proceed with caution. The World Health Organization says that vitamin supplements are not recommended to reduce the risk of cognitive decline and dementia. Balanced nutrition, like we just discussed, will have the biggest advantage for promoting the health of your body and brain, not supplements. Labels for supplements cannot make drug claims or state that they alleviate symptoms of the disease because they are not drugs as defined by the US FDA. Many are created with little or to no regulation and may be potentially dangerous. So beware of false claims and know that vitamins and dietary supplements may interact with medications. The best way to understand and address how to care for yourself is to talk to a healthcare professional. If you do have a nutritional deficiency, they can help identify this and counsel you on to taking the right steps. Supplements should only be used under the supervision of medical professionals. All right. We have another question. Challenging your brain may help lower the risk of cognitive decline.
True.
True, yep. Continuing to challenge our minds as we age may lower the risk of cognitive decline. Challenging yourself may also have short and long-term benefits for your brain. Cognitive or mental engagement is a term that means keeping our minds active. Anything that uses your mind in challenging ways is a cognitive activity and can possibly have benefits to your brain. This can be learning new skills, working on a challenging task, or engaging in ongoing learning. Scientists believe that as you use your mind in new and challenging ways, your brain builds new connections between brain cells. The more connections that you have, the more nimble your brain is, and the better you may be able to guard against the effects of injuries or diseases that can compromise brain function. Cognitive engagement encourages blood flow to the brain, and mentally stimulating activities can possibly maintain or even improve your cognition. Formal education is also important. Research has shown that engaging in classroom-based learning led by professionally trained teachers will help keep your brain healthy and can protect you from developing dementia. Some researchers believe that this may be due to education creating a more robust network of communication pathways between your neurons in your brain. So how can we challenge ourselves? Ask yourselves what new hobbies or skills you want to learn. Are there activities you can think of that sounds like a fun challenge? What topics would you like to learn about? And focus on topics that are of interest and that are a challenge for you. What is challenging for one person may not be challenging for another. One of the best ways to stay connected and keep your brain as resilient as possible is to engage in activities that require learning new things or solving problems. Here are some general ideas of mentally stimulating activities. Take a class at a local college or community center on a new topic or skill. Try a new cooking technique or learn a new language. Build a piece of furniture, create something artistic, or learn to paint or play a new instrument, learn a strategy game like chess. And while completing a jigsaw or crossword puzzles can be a good way to manage your stress, cognitive engagement is about solving a problem that has you stumped, or figuring out ways to approach a familiar task in a more effective way. It requires that you think steps ahead and make plans for adapting to change, like thinking about what an opponent might do in a game like chess. And while brain training activities such as computer games that aim to improve memory and attention span are an exciting area of ongoing research, on ongoing study to evaluate their impact on cognition, none of these activities are currently proven to prevent Alzheimer's disease or dementia, so be cautious of commercially marketed brain games with big claims and promises. Do you guys have any mentally engaging activities that you like to do?
New York Times app on my phone.
I was just about to recommend that. I'm
It's like
addicted.
5 different puzzles every morning. I sit down and
Yeah, if you guys have a cell phone, or it might be, I think it's a website too, the New York Times Games app is so fun. I'm addicted to it. Any other tips or things that you guys like to do?
I play a lot of cards, but I've been learning new card games
Awesome.
with friends, which
Yeah.
is very challenging.
Absolutely, that's a great way.
And then playing with the grandkids.
Yeah. Always one step ahead.
Yeah,
Left or right.
so I
yeah.
can win.
Awesome. Wonderful. There's some research that shows connecting with others may support brain health. Those who are regularly engaged with other people also tend to have reduced rates of mortality and disability. We know that people don't do well in isolation, and when people feel well connected to others, they tend to make healthier choices in other parts of their lives. There are many ways to connect with others and reap the benefits of social interaction. As always, do activities that are meaningful to you. These will provide the greatest connection with those around you. Think about how you like to connect with others and where there might be some new opportunities to do so, such as getting involved in your community or joining a club or group. There are a number of ways that you can maintain strong social connections, including volunteering for a cause that's important to you, scheduling regular phone calls or video chats, visiting friends and family, becoming involved in your community. Does anyone else have any ideas on how they stay connected? I know you mentioned the senior center here has a lot, of amazing things, so wonderful. It seems like a great resource. So let's recap what we learned in today's program. In general, a key principle is that what's good for your heart is good for your brain. And the important elements of healthy living for your brain and body include getting quality sleep, being smoke-free, taking care of your mental health, being physically active and eating healthy, and challenging yourself and staying socially connected. All of these things have potential benefits. In fact, there's ongoing research into how engaging in multiple activities across these areas may have the greatest benefit for brain health. Whenever possible, think about how you can make changes that affect more than one area at the same time to maximize the health benefits of your habits. For example, taking a walk with a friend is combining your physical activity and your social engagement. As many of you have shared your great examples today, you can make small changes that will have a significant impact, helping you live as well as possible. And it's never too early or too late to start building more healthy habits into your life. So before we wrap up today's program, we'll learn a little bit more on how the Alzheimer's Association has some additional resources to offer. The Alzheimer's Association leads the way to end Alzheimer's and all other dementias by accelerating global research, driving risk reduction and early detection, and maximizing quality care and support. Their vision is a world without Alzheimer's and all other dementias. The free 24/7 helpline, which is available anytime, day or night, and provides access to highly trained and knowledgeable staff who can help with education, decision-making support, crisis assistance, and resource identification. There's online resources at alz.org, including education programs covering a wide range of topics, and the Alzheimer's Association and AARP Community Resource Finder, which includes a wealth of resources available in your area, including long-term care and community-based services, local association offices, and additional programs and support services. So that's the end of the program, and I'd love to answer any questions if any of you have any.
I have a question. Earlier you were speaking about the medication for Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
What does that medication do to the brain? Does it remove the plaque or?
Yep.
And then the other question is, how do you get help paying for that medication? Because I heard it's very expensive.
Yeah. So to answer your first question, it breaks down the amyloid. There's two proteins in the brain that have been associated with Alzheimer's disease: amyloid plaques and tau tangles, which kind of cause tangles in the neurons in the brain, and those two are kind of go hand in hand. And so the medications work to break it down. And in lecanemab, which is the medication that we use in the AHEAD study, it increased cognition by 27% in people who had early Alzheimer's or mild cognitive impairment. Access is obviously a very important thing, and I don't think that they are completely there yet. These were approved recently. It was lecanemab and donanemab. I think insurances have, I don't know too much on the insurance side of things. I think some insurances will cover it. I don't know how much. I think that depends on insurances. And then The other aspect is, at least for lecanemab, it was being given through an IV, so that means you have to go through infusion centers. Infusion centers sometimes tend to not have enough seats, so there's a lot of things that are still need to be improved when it comes to these medications, for sure.
Well, have these been approved by the FDA?
Both of those two have, yeah. Yep. Yeah.
The one that's the intravenous one, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So it's called lecanemab.
Could you spell that?
Yeah. LECANEMAB.
LECANEMA?
Yep.
My sister's been recommended to start that in Florida, and
Okay.
we've both been rather hesitant to know what to do about that.
Sure. Yeah. I can talk to the AHEAD study because that's what I know best. So we give the participants, and this is, it's a research study, so we're giving participants either the medication or placebo. It's blinded, so they don't know what they're getting. But it's given through an IV, and it takes 60 minutes. Kind of just goes in, kind of drips down, and they, get monitored by the nurse there. And then some side effects of these medications, since they're, breaking things down in the brain, are micro hemorrhages, or like tiny little bleeds in the brain. Often occur without symptoms. So we have our participants get frequent MRIs throughout the study that can look for those.
What are suggestions of ways to motivate yourself to do, you gotta do these things,
Sure.
but how do you get yourself,
Yeah, I think like if you have a friend or family member that, it can benefit anyone. So if you have a friend or family member that's also wanting to do this, if you can say, hey, let's go for the walk and talk about what's going on with Susan, or like try to get fun ways, or you can try to make it into a game for yourself. So if I go for a long walk 3 times this week, I'm gonna, whatever you watch an hour of reality TV show, that's what I do for myself. You're like, something that you enjoy doing. So kind of making it a game, I think, is really fun, and then incorporating other friends. I enjoy cooking, so maybe there's like a new recipe that you could try out and see, and it just may happen to be healthier. Yeah, things like that. So,
thank you.
yeah.
What's the diagnosis process? Is it blood draw, or is it a CT scan or MRI?
For Alzheimer's disease? Yeah. So doctors can diagnose it just through memory testing by kind of looking at your whole medical history and doing memory tests. That's how my grandma was diagnosed. We kind of saw the signs, brought her in. They rule out different things, like there's vascular dementia that might look the same, but that's due to, she didn't have any vascular problems, so they're like, okay, it's not that. So, but to actually tell you if you have the amyloid in your brain, there are ways to do that as well. In our study, we were one of the first of its kind to use an experimental blood test called a biomarker. So yeah, this is just a simple blood test, and it'll tell you whether you're more or less likely to have amyloid in your brain. And that's been like 97% effective. And then they would get a PET scan where they inject a radioactive dye called a radiotracer, which binds to the amyloid in your brain and produce images that highlight it that'll tell you the actual amount. So that kind of confirmed the blood test. But the blood test has been super effective, so it might switch to that in the future.
So right now, the blood test is not available for amyloid.
Not in like a normal doctor's office yet. There's places like Quest Diagnostic that you can pay to get it. I think before you put that in a doctor's office, you have to train all of the physicians and make sure that they understand what this test means. Telling someone they might have this in their brain, but then on the back end we don't really have a cure yet, or enough like prevention, like medications and things. So some people really like to know if they're at a higher risk, but also you want to make sure that you have the resources and support for the people that are learning these things.
I'm sorry, go ahead. My husband had the amyloid, and the only way they were he was up to 3 bleeds, and they said, let's take a look. And by doing a brain biopsy,
Okay.
and they did it at the university, and I guess it was done by robots, because it only took an hour and a half
Oh, wow.
to do and they confirmed the diagnosis.
Okay.
But, yeah, that blood test will be then so much easier.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Did you have a question?
Is there sort of like, in terms of age of onset, what is the range? What are you seeing kind of?
Yeah, early onset Alzheimer's disease is 65 and earlier. So, after 65, that would be like,
Yeah, anything.
right. I think it really depends. There also is a genetic component, which is if you have 1 or 2 copies, it's called APOE or APOE allele or gene. If you have 1 or 2 copies of the E4 form of that, I know I'm using big words, I'm trying, but that can increase your risk. So then, you might know that and make changes to your lifestyle. To modify that. Yeah.
Does the association offer any type of just free testing, or would you go through your doctor for that if you're not
You can-
necessarily worried, but part of me is like, where I'm at?
Yeah, I don't know about free testing through them. You could absolutely give them a call on that phone number, and they would.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, yeah, I think doctor would be probably the easiest way. But I would definitely give them a call and ask about free testing. I don't know off the top of my head. Besides being involved in research studies.
Would you talk a little bit about the research?
Yeah.
I might be interested.
Yeah. So the Alzheimer's Disease Research Center is one of like the biggest Alzheimer's disease research centers in the country. They just got a huge grant, millions of dollars. I don't remember how much it was, but great people, great resources, great studies. So you don't have to be in a study that involves taking a medication that may have potential side effects. It can be as simple as coming in once a year and getting memory and thinking testing, a blood draw, an MRI. You can kind of pick and choose what you feel comfortable doing. So if you go to the Alzheimer's Disease Research Center website, and then there's a spot where you can click volunteer for a research study, and they'll reach out to you and kind of match you up with the study that fits best. And obviously for us to get these medications approved, they did a lot of testing on people. That's how we're gonna learn the most. So, any other questions?
You don't ever hear much from the insurance industry on what they're gonna cover, what they're gonna.
Yeah.
As soon as you start talking about some of that stuff, I'm thinking, do you really wanna know, especially if your insurance company would know, and it's like,
Exactly. Yeah. You need access for everyone. Absolutely. So. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you.